way.
I guess. I mean, okay, we're sort of burying the lead here. I get a series of texts. I don't even know what night it was.
Well, you texted me and you're like, what are you doing? And I just answered you telling you what I was doing.
I get a picture of Boy George's, I think all access pass. And you said, I'm hanging with PK. And I like could not, I was like, excuse me, excuse me. Okay, we need to know how did this happen? What?
Sarah's like, where are you right now? And I'm like, I'm not going to respond. I'm like, I'm hanging with PK. Listen, well,
I'm so jealous.
first of all, let's get into it now since you brought it up. But yes, I did respond with that. I mean, once I actually have one drink, I'm like, pictures are always better than actually words. But I had to cover 90s Con the weekend before. God, I spent a lot of time in Florida, in Daytona Beach, because I mean, it's a Melrose Place reunion. And if you think I'm going to miss that, you're sadly mistaken. That was on a weekend. Then I had a friend that had a 50th birthday party, which I'm right there. I mean, Daytona to Orlando is like 45 minutes in an Uber. So I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm here anyway. I could just stay for like an extra 2 days and come to your 50th. Very good friend of mine. So I'm like, I have this 50th birthday party. I'm down here anyway. And then I was going to come home. See what single life is, Sarah? You just decide to
No
come home
clue.
if you want. And then I was like, oh, I was like in this one hotel for 2 nights. And the guy was like, okay, I'm like, what's happening in town? I mean, it's Orlando, no offense. And they were like, nothing. And and Culture Club on Sunday night. And I'm like, or excuse me, Boy George. It was not Culture Club. It was Boy George and Squeeze. Double header, Boy George and Squeeze. And I'm like, I'm literally right here. This venue is like a block away. I'm like, I'm just going to stay and do my work from here this week. And I will go see Boy George and Squeeze. I have seen Squeeze before. I have seen Boy George many times. I mean, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to this. And then I'm like, just because this is a large Bravo podcast here, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if PK was there? Like, I mean, I have been to Culture Club and Boy George shows before. I told you like a long time ago, like years ago, I was in the front row at a Culture Club concert, and like in front of me in the pit were like Dorit and PK. So I'm like, PK is is Boy George's manager. So I'm like, wouldn't that just be great if PK was there? I mean, I know we're going to a concert tonight and we're seeing, two legends, especially Boy George, but wouldn't that be great? And, so I walk in and then there's like the Boy George meet and greet. And as soon as I walk in, there is PK. And I'm like, okay, he's here. This is great. Because I mean, this is a Bravo podcast, and these are the people that we want to see, right? So right away, well, let me just first tell you that, because you are actually the one that pointed out a few weeks ago, you saw on his Instagram where he did the before and after picture, and you sent it to me. Yeah, PK looks fucking great. Like it's so then, he's like, you look really familiar. And I'm like, oh God. Because sometimes when they say you look familiar from behind the Velvet Rope podcast, it isn't always a good look. You look right. Like it's
Well,
like,
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, we're, yeah, we now get those looks. It's like they're kind of happy to see you, but something's not great.
right.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh
Yeah.
no. But I mean, I really, I was like, oh God, like, is PK gonna like chew me out here for something I said like over the past 5 years? But no, it was like, you look great. And it was like, I just none of that. He was like, and I was like, look, you look great. Oh, telling me about his sobriety. Like he's really, truly sober. Like he
And
did
he
it.
was
And he's,
sober the night you were
yeah,
there. Wow.
we're gonna get into that. Yeah. Sober. Yes. Yep. So I mean, we were literally then. So we were talking. I mean, this is literally. He kind of read my mind. I mean, we were talking for like 20 minutes, and he kind of read my mind. He's like, "Don't worry, you're not going to miss your picture with Boy George." I'm like, "This is an actual icon. Like, let's just back up for a minute. I know there are a lot of millennials listening to this. There are a lot of people in their 30s, but for all the rest of us, Boy George is an actual icon, a true icon. So I'm like, as much as I loved my conversation with PK, he like read my mind. I'm like, yeah, I need a picture with Boy George. Yeah. And then of course I have a picture. I have a picture with Boy George and PK. I'm like, come on in the picture, PK. I'm like,
Okay. Okay. But then, all right. So you get this picture, but the night, I mean, you guys were together for quite a while, like a long ass time, because I was getting updates throughout the night. So, I mean, can we cut
well,
to the chase here? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
We want to know we want to know the scoop. Like, what did we talk about Beverly Hills? Is he going to be on RHOBH? Are he and Dorit still together? Was Dorit there? I mean, can you get to like what we all want to hear?
That is what the people want to hear, isn't it? But okay, so here's the thing. Let me just say some things first. Let me just say some things first.
All right,
So,
take a breath.
yes, we talked to Boy George and blah, blah, blah. And then just to show you what type of person. And by the way, I really honestly think, like, if you look at like a unique voice, like I think Cyndi Lauper is such a unique voice, Debbie Harry, Boy George has one of the most, if you really want to just focus on a voice, unique voices in the world. I think it is so unique. But anyway, when this thing was over and everyone was going backstage and I was still talking to PK, PK's like, just come with me. And then as soon as we get backstage, he calls out to someone because I mean, he's running the show. He's George's manager. And he's like, Allison, or whatever the person's name was, he's like, full access for David. And this woman whisks me away. And the next thing you know, I have a full access backstage pass. It's like, just do whatever you want. Like, there's Boy George's dressing room, there's Squeeze. Like, just, I like trust you. You seem like you're not a crazy stalker fan. Like, just wander, do whatever you want. You have full access now. I just want to point out that, like, Big Bravo podcast or not, nobody owes anyone anything in this world. I didn't ask for this. I didn't. So, for all the misguided half truths about PK out there, here is, what I always say here, Sarah. I judge people. And listen, we all know I've said many bad things about many people that are on these housewife shows. I don't mince my words. I'm not like kissing ass to anyone. You don't need to do this. Like, you could say, this was a lovely talk. We're going backstage now. We're actually here for a show. Have a nice night. That would have been, he still would have been lovely. But to tell me to come backstage and then say to someone, and the next thing they run over with an all access pass, he doesn't need to do that. I'm not Dorit. I'm not his child. I'm not his mother. Like, who the hell am I? Like, if you think about it, it's a very kind act that you do not, there's no requirement to do this. I didn't ask. So you don't think that's extremely generous? There are people in this Bravo world that you and I both know way more than I know PK at this point. And here I am with when I mean all access, I mean go out front, come back, eat off craft services, pop into this dressing room, I mean, full access. No one's stopping you. Like, it's like you own the place. You don't think that is like above and beyond the nice call of duty from a human being?
That's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to point that out there. So I just think there are a lot of mistruths out there and a lot of stuff about PK when, I have